let's fill our cups. Commander decks in hand, the battle's about to start. A podcast for the legend, where magic meets the heart. Commander Pod, where the stories unfold. With heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan and Sloan got the word. The world of EDH we play.
Hello everyone, welcome again to Commander's Pod. I'm your Podfather.
I'm Sloan.
And we are 33% less aggro Jeff. Well, I guess we're 100% less aggro Jeff, 33% less aggro.
Yes.
Yeah. So he is on vacation once again.
Yep.
So
Spending some time, which you actually got to join him a little bit.
Yep, played a lot of Magic.
Awesome.
Like lots and lots of Magic, so that was fun.
Yeah, we'll replace aggro Jeff with that before we get into today's topics, which we're going to go over a couple of different things. Always fun. Deck tech.
Yeah.
We got another one for you guys. We're going to go over it. This one might be a little bit on the nose. I know a lot of you guys have probably seen the deck that we're going to talk about today, but still one of our...
Well, but there's different levels, different
absolutely.
styles. Yeah.
But a lot of you are going to be very familiar with the deck tech that we're doing today, which is going to be cool. A couple of other things news-wise in the world of Magic, with MagicCon coming up in 1 weekend by the time you hear this.
Yeah.
2 weekends.
What will be... that weekend.
It will be that weekend.
I will be there the day this comes out.
Right, because of our. I'm still not used to delay yet, but we'll go into that. But yeah, in regards to kind of kicking it off, so no aggro Jeff, but you guys got to play a lot of Magic this weekend.
Oh yeah,
in a very special, one of the most magical places in the world, they say, Disney. So
well, we were at Disney, but we were right. Disney adjacent.
Right, exactly.
We could see Disney from where we were. We could see the fireworks and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to go to any of the shops for the pre-con? Pre-release, I mean? Right?
We did not do pre-release. Jeff doesn't like pre-release. He doesn't like pretty much anything but Commander.
Yeah.
So we did not, but we did go. I went to 2 shops. He went to 1. Okay. So that was fun. And shout out, Living Dead Comics in, I guess it's Kissimmee.
Kissimmee, technically, yeah.
They, every time I go there, it's a great atmosphere. They have really cool stuff. It's not mainly Magic. It's comic books. Right. But they have cool, like, vintage toys and stuff. Really cool, like, stuff like that. And they cut me a really good deal because I had pre-ordered the red-blue, the Prismari deck, but I had not pre-ordered the others. And so I got all 4 of those decks. And I got sleeves for all those decks. Nice. And so they're like, I'll cut you a deal. So that was very nice of them. So they didn't know I was going to do this or even know I do a podcast. But I do want to shout out, if you're in the Orlando, Kissimmee area and you want to check out a cool store, Living Dead Comics was very cool every time I've been there. I tend to pop in. They don't know me or anything. Right. I do go in there quite a bit when I'm there. So very cool.
What was the win-to-loss ratio between you and Jeff?
Oh, my gosh. So it was... It was a total seesaw. Right. He would decimate me for weeks. Now, the reason I bought these precons is because, a lot of the guys at work are talking about decks. Jeff's decks are very tuned. They're not fully optimized. He doesn't make decisions where it's like all his decks are like as optimized as they can be. Right. Because he makes decision based on theme and stuff. But within those guidelines, parameters, it is as tuned as it can be.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of funny because he did this with like D&D characters too. He goes like, I didn't build the most optimal version of this character, but the version that you did build is the most optimal version of that version, which is the same thing he does with his decks. Yeah. He's like, it's space themed, so it's not that optimal, but you bought all the best cards you could for that theme, so it is still technically optimized. Right.
So the problem is, like, and especially we were playing 1-on-1. Yeah. His sons were there, but my son was there. My son isn't. He's played Magic, but he's not really into it yet. Yeah. Hopefully he will be soon. I still gotta finish the SpongeBob deck, but I'm trying to make it like so perfect. I'm putting too much into it. But anyway, so he was with the boys, so they didn't want to play. Right. So we were just playing 1v. It's a totally different game. Yeah. It's entirely different. So I bought the pre-cons because I'm like, okay, now we're on a level playing field. So we played about 10 games with the pre-cons. The first 5, I swear to you, he just had the best hands, the best luck. He always had an answer. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But the next 5, the worm turned, and then I had... in fact, at one point, he was playing a deck that's basically +1 counters. It's the... Witherbloom deck.
Yeah, the black-green one, right?
Yeah. And it's mostly 1/1 counters is basically what the theme is. And I happen to get a guy that says at the end of my end step, you put a +1 counter on up to 1 creature for every player, and any creature with a counter, not just the ones you put them on, can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless they pay X, where X is the number of counters on it. He's like, I've got like 6, 7, 5 counters on this one. He's like, how am I supposed to? It's the one card in the deck. He's like, it's the one card in your deck that could stop me, and it stopped me. I'm like, that. Now you know how I felt for 5 games. So I did flip-flops. It was pretty even. He might have had a game or two on me, but I think it was pretty even.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad you got. So you guys got to play all. Did you play all 5 of the precons?
No, because I didn't have because
one.
I was gone. I couldn't pick up my pre-order.
Gotcha.
But we played the other 4.
Okay.
Yep.
So you played the Witherbloom, which is black-green.
Yep. Silver Quill is black-white.
Yep.
Now you're testing me.
Was it blue-red that you played?
No, the blue-red is the one I pre-ordered.
Okay, so blue-red's at the house. And then
white. Oh, Lorehold, red-white.
Red-white.
And what's the last one?
It's not blue-black.
No. Gosh darn it.
Red-green?
Yes, but what is it?
I don't know what the name of it is. I'm just naming all the color combos.
Yeah, I think it's red-green.
Okay. Well, good.
But yeah, so anyway, we played those 4. We each got a chance to play each of the decks at least once.
Nice.
He definitely felt like the one I can't remember, whatever that one was.
Yeah.
He thought that one was the weakest.
Yeah.
I didn't agree, but I felt like we just weren't hitting the right stride in it.
Right.
But it was fun. So it was a good time.
Yeah.
It was. I didn't think I would have as much fun playing 1v1 Commander, but we, Oh, by the way, when I did decimate him for a few games, I tried Wolverine.
Yeah. Because
I'm like, he has a ton of answers. He had no answers for Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine's quick.
He tried different decks, one deck he'd wanted to try twice. He was just like, I was like, all right, I'm going to put this away.
Yeah. Yeah, Wolverine, if you can't immediately stop him, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of answers
And the thing with Wolverine is normally I kill one person at the table and then I'm arch enemy.
Yeah, then you're also
But
open
if there
for
is
business.
only one person
that's all you need.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it was a good time.
Good.
So on the news bit, there's been a lot of talk about the Star Wars hollow foils, the little stamp at the bottom, the counterfeit proof stamp on the rares and mythics, that they found Star Wars hollow stamp foils on some of them. There was somebody posted.
Right.
And there was talk is this going to be Star Wars? So 2 parts to this.
Yep.
Number 1, that hollow foil specifically, it showed the X-Wing fighters, is from Star Wars Unlimited, from those cards.
Yeah.
So they were probably just made at the same factory. The wrong stamps got applied to a few cards, and that's how that happened. As to whether we are getting Star Wars next year, I said this in our end of year or our beginning of year, wherever we did our predictions for next year. Mm-hmm. It must have been the beginning of this year. Predictions for next year, and I said then, and I stand by it, we will 100% get Star Wars in Magic next year. It's their 50th anniversary, and Wizards is not going to let that slide by.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that the stars aligning the way they are, and especially with...
I see what you did there, the stars.
And also because MagicCon next year, they're right on the cusp of... it's now happening on May the 4th weekend, essentially.
Well, that's what this one is.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
The day I fly back is May the 4th.
Right, and so what I'm saying is next year they can do it again at the same time of the year week, so it'd be that would be when they release. So there's a chance that if they are going to announce it and they are going to release that set, I would guess that they're probably going to do it around this time, like they did with Secret. So it'd be the Secrets of Strixhaven would line up with what the Star Wars one should be next year if they want to optimize the May the 4th, pun. So it could happen. I mean,
I'm predicting. I am stating. I'm putting my stamp on this. I am stating that I have no doubt it will happen. This is my 100%. I'm not hedging my bets. I think it's going to happen. Now, whether it's a full set, or it's a secret lair drop, or it's one of those mini sets, I can't predict that. Or maybe it's just decks. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I do predict it will happen.
All right. So
we will finally be able to pit Star Wars versus Star Trek
and have an answer
next year at some point.
That'd be crazy. So I guess on that news, we'll kind of make offhanded guess, or I guess we'll talk about what we would prefer. So would you prefer, I'm going to kind of do a devil's advocate here, would you prefer a full set but not done quite as well, or a secret layer but done really well?
I think I'd rather the secret layer done.
The secret, so only maybe 15 cards total, but they're all done really
Well, they're
really
going to do 5 drops.
Right, well,
at
5
least
of
4
5, so
cards,
25.
20 to 25.
Yeah, 20 to 25 cards, but done really, really well.
Yeah.
Or would you prefer a whole set, not maybe done as well, but still getting
Yeah.
a full set instead?
No, I'd rather the secret layer. Now, I'm still conflicted. I'm happy Star Trek is coming out this year.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted because I don't know how I feel about a full set. I feel like I may want to make it compartmentalized and keep it by itself and play Star Trek versus Star Trek.
Right.
So, but depending on how that goes, will more solidify how I feel about the set idea for Star Wars. But I would have to say I'm this much more of a Star Trek person than Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but Star Trek I've been watching longer in my life.
Right.
So I'm this much more.
Yeah.
It's very close, but I still think I want a Star Wars set. I think it could be very cool. And I think, next month, Mandalorian and Grogu come out. And there's a lot of things that me and my buddies have been predicting about that'll fit into the bigger overall lore, we think.
Yeah.
And that's going to be able to be played out in the set too, and that could be really cool. So hopefully this is all being tied together and planned in a way that it works like that. If all we get is a secret layer, I'm fine with that, and it's probably the safest route.
Right.
But they haven't really been all that safe as far as they're just grabbing every IP they can and shoving it in there.
Yeah, and I mean, and we've seen that some of them they did really well and they were able to produce a high quality product, and some we felt there was a little bit more to desire.
Well, specifically Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Now the problem that it added to Spider-Man, rumor-wise at least, is that it was built to be a mini set like the Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
When Assassin's Creed did not do as well as they were hoping,
Right.
they said, we need to turn this into a full set, but they didn't have the full time. That was only a year before, a little over a year before, I think. Spider-Man, they didn't have as much time as a normal set to work out all that, so they had to kind of shoehorn some stuff in there and just kind of fluff it up.
Right.
Which is what a lot of people felt, is Spider-Man was just kind of fluffed up. It didn't have real depth.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, to your other point, with Star Trek, there could be, like you're saying, a little bit of nervousness with that because of the fandom that kind of goes behind it. I know the quality.
Really nitpicky.
Yeah, I know the quality of everything from the art on the cards to the abilities that they're going to give them to who and what colors and how they're being. I know all of that is going to be stuff that all of you major Star Trek fans are definitely going to be staring at. I mean, I did it for Avatar. My buddy did it for Final Fantasy. We have other friends that did it for Lord of the Rings, and so it's definitely something that I know is going to be underneath a more, I guess, intense microscope than even just a regular
for
set.
Sure.
So
I mean, nerds in general are very nitpicky, but Star Trek. I mean, William Shatner, Captain Kirk himself, did a whole sketch on Saturday Night Live of Get a Life.
Yeah.
Because of how intense they can be.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I'm definitely more of Star Wars because that was more my shtick. And the episodes 1, 2, and 3 came out when I was younger, so I actually watched those in theaters growing up. So, but with that being said, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I definitely think it would be cool if Star Wars got added because there's a lot of cool things you can do.
I want a lightsaber
right,
equipment.
I was going to say, lightsaber equipment's the number one thing, especially if they do Vader's lightsaber, Luke lightsaber, Yoda.
Like they did with
Mace
the Ninja
Windu.
Turtles weapons. Although they left out one of them, right?
No, they did all 3 of them.
I'm pretty sure somebody said there's no the nunchucks are not in there.
No, Michelangelo's nunchucks are there.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, they're green equipment. That's why I know they're in there.
Okay.
Because I pulled them.
Right. But yeah, so that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would really have a problem putting a lightsaber on trying to think.
In a Voltron deck?
In a Voltron deck or something.
Yeah, I'll definitely throw it in Squall for sure if they're 3 CMC or less. That's 100% where they're going. Yeah, Squall. You thought Squall's sword from Final Fantasy was good. Wait till I hit you with a lightsaber.
Yep.
from Star Wars.
It'll be interesting to see how maybe they give it Death Touch would be a good.
Well, I think like they should give like Vader's Death Touch and like Yoda's maybe Lifelink. You know, 'cause you know they're opposite. So if we keep talking about Star Wars, though, we're never gonna get through everything.
We'll get to that closer to. Now it's possible that I find out at MagicCon.
Right. Which, if that's the case, definitely that will be the topic that we talk about because you guys are coming back Sunday.
We come back Monday morning.
Oh, Monday morning.
So I can record that week, but it's gonna have to be Tuesday.
Yeah, like Tuesday night. Yeah.
And I'm gonna be jet lagged, so
Right.
you have to deal with that. But yeah, so I can record that week, so we shouldn't miss any weeks because of MagicCon. And if I'm not really good about, I participate in things. I'm not real good about recording things. I don't take a lot of pictures. When my family goes on vacation, my wife has to take all the pictures because I want to be in the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to shoot some footage and stuff and maybe post something from MagicCon.
Nice.
And so if they do announce something like a Star Wars, I'll try and get it out to everybody. I'll put it on our shorts and get it out as fast as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome. I do think the only way they can announce it is if they do the big intro song and it just starts scrolling. That's if they announce it any other way, they failed,
right,
in my opinion. So
the other thing that we've never really talked about because it's magic related, but it's not magic related. So the game Destiny is getting magic skins.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to have Jason, Chandra, and some other stuff.
Yeah.
So they're getting magic skins in the game. Now, many people speculate that will be reciprocal and we'll probably get a Destiny secret lair.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, and here's the thing that I think the majority of the reason why Edge of Eternities exists is to set up all of these sci-fi IPs and everything. Because again, if we just threw Destiny characters in before Edge of Eternities, everybody would be like, this is stupid, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But because Edge of Eternities happened and they had laser guns and they were in space on planets and stations and stuff, all of it, like Destiny kind of makes sense now. We can do Destiny Secret Lairs and it doesn't break the reality of the magic lore. Yeah. We can do Star Trek, we can do Star Wars without it breaking the reality of the magic lore because they set up Edge of Eternities first.
Right.
So
it does definitely open that up.
Yeah. And
Edge of Eternities feels okay.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I'm playing the World Shaper deck in the league, as you guys know, and I haven't played as much with the Edge of Eternity cards until I played this deck. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's out of place because again, the way they kind of set it up is you are in the void between the planes. You know, you are in that void space essentially. So, I think they did a good job setting it up. The station mechanic was really smart, and it was nice because it's a easier way to have a vehicle, quote unquote. There's ups and downsides to it, but it is nice. It's fun, and I've been enjoying the Edge of Eternity mechanics I've had my hands on since League started. So we'll see what happens with Destiny if we get a crossover back to us, and then we'll also hear about Star Wars. Hopefully, if they are going to announce it, it has to be next weekend because it doesn't make sense to do it any other time. So we'll have to see what happens there, and then maybe we'll get more Star Trek preview stuff too.
I remember it's this weekend when they're...
Yeah, this weekend when you guys are listening to it. Sorry, in my head, because we're a week ahead.
Yep. So that's the news.
Yep.
So let's get into... I'm going to read the viewer... he's actually one of our Patreon supporter, Tyler's email. He says, "Hello, Command Pod team. I am emailing you in hopes that you would do a deck tech on a new deck I've built. I do have a few cards coming in the mail for the deck," and he gives the deck link, which I'll have Tim put in the description. Mm-hmm. I found Krenko Mob Boss in a $2 bulk bin in a local store last weekend and thought it'd be fun to build into goblins. I originally tried building a Pauper EDH deck with Rulik Mon's Gruul with a Goblins Giants theme, but never played it and tore it apart for Krenko. I think I have some fun interaction without going too OP and included Staff of Domination. I plan to make a sideboard with it. The two cards he mentioned earlier coming in the mail are Brightstone Ritual and Comet Storm, and plan to swap those with the cards Shower of Cold and gratuitous violence. Where I'd like help are my lands. I know it's mono red, and I'm sure I'm able to remove the 2 non-basics, but I'd like to know if there are any faster or unique lands I could add to the deck. In my Zergo Rush deck, I had the card Arena of Glory, and I think that would be a fun include. Also, any other substitutions or ways to make this deck more fun is also greatly appreciated. Thank you for the work you guys put into making the show. I hope it's still a show you love making. Have a wonderful rest of the week. First of all, it is still a show I love making.
Yeah,
I've
enjoy
only
it.
missed a couple episodes ever recording. I love doing this. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, yes. Secondly, we can definitely help you. We have some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, as I kind of foreshadowed before, Krenko Mob Boss, any of you who have been around the block in the Magic world for a while, I'm sure you've come across this guy in your travels and are well aware of his abilities and what he does. And so for the few of you that may not know, he's a 2 red Goblin Warrior 3/3, and he has tap, create X 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens, where X is the number of goblins you control. Pretty straightforward.
Exponentially, each round, you're getting more and more out of control.
That's right. So anyone who has ever played against Krenko, you know that the number one thing that people do is they try to give him haste to immediately pop him to get as many goblins out on the field as possible, to then start making it so you cannot come back from the amount of goblins that you're seeing on the field. So with that theme in mind, there's a couple of things that Duncan and I, as we went through, definitely some land things that we saw that we could help you out with. Again, being mono red, there's not a whole lot, but there are a couple of things that you could do that would definitely help.
Yep.
Duncan, you got the first land in front of you.
Yep. So the first one I was going to talk about is Castle Embreth. Castle Embreth enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain, tap to add a red, or play 1 red, tap it. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Just a real simple way. You can have a mountain so it can come in untapped, and a real simple way to give your goblins a boost. 15 1/1 goblins are not quite as good as 15 2/1 goblins. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Gets more damage in there. So that was the first one I had.
Yeah, the one that I had that kind of hit my mind first as soon as you said you're building a goblin deck is, well, what's a good tribal land? And 3 Tree City is the one that came to mind. So this is, as 3 Tree City enters, choose a creature type. It taps for a colorless, or pay 2 and tap it. Choose a color, add an amount of mana of that color equal to the number of creatures you control of the chosen type. Something that is really good and everyone is seeking is, of course, a Gaia's Cradle. This is a cheaper...
It's a Goblin's Cradle in this case.
Yeah, it's a Goblin's Cradle in this case. So it's really good for any deck that is stuffing in one type of creature. It just exponentially gets better and better, especially with Krenko being able to create a bunch of goblins first. I'm going to pay 2, tap it. I'm going to create 30 red mana, and I'm in a mono red deck. No downside in that whatsoever. Yeah. This is a land that could definitely help you end the game if you're at the point where you have enough creatures out. And so the reason why I picked this one is because you do have some cards that I saw in your deck that are definitely game enders if you can dump enough mana into them. And so this was one that I thought of that I was like, definitely something that's going to help you out a lot. And there was a couple other ones too. Duncan, go ahead and hit those ones up for him.
Okay, so the one that I thought... for the most part, you don't care about creating multiple colors.
Right.
You really don't care about red. And I'm not a big tapped lands fan. However, with Path of Ancestry, whenever you cast a creature of the same type as your commander, you get to scry 1.
Right.
So guess what? You have a ton of goblins. You're going to be scrying a lot. You're going to get to cherry pick the cards you're drawing every turn.
Right.
So that's a really good one to include in this deck. Myriad Landscape is another. It taps for a colorless, or you can pay 2, tap it, sack it, and go get 2 basic lands. So you go get 2 mountains. So it's a way to ramp.
Right, because they have to share a land type,
Yeah.
just so you know. So that's why that one's really good in a monocolored deck, because you give up 1 land to get 2.
Yeah, it's a way to ramp in a non-ramping color.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then the last one is War Room, and I forgot to take a picture of this one. Silly me. But it's and if I don't tell the search engine I want magic, I get all kinds of stuff. But War Room is tap for a colorless, or pay 3, tap it, pay life equal to number of colors in your commander's color identity, draw a card. Well, that's all you want. You got to pay a life.
Yep.
Again, a way to draw in a color is not really good at drawing.
Yeah, and I would definitely say in regards to removal for the land section, you kind of brought up the two the lands that are non-basics. The first two, Ash Barrens and Darksteel Citadel, they're not hurting you in any way because both of them come in untapped. Both of them tap immediately for colorless. The advantage of Ash Barrens is that you can basic land cycle it, so you can kind of get 2 lands out of your deck for the price of 1, essentially, with that one. Darksteel.
How do you get 2?
Because basic land cycling, you pay 1, you go get to get a land out. So you're getting rid of the Ash Barrens, and you're also getting a mountain out. So you're basically exchanging.
Here's my thing, though. In a monocolor deck, if you just had that mountain that you replaced that with in your hand.
Right. And I get that. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's not hurting you. It's also not helping you,
I think it is hurting you.
Well,
it might as well say it's a mountain that comes in tap, because you're paying 1 to trade a land card in your deck for a mountain that you actually want.
Right.
Put a mountain in, and in the same scenario, you would have had that mountain in your hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Alternate universe, the same luck percentages, you would have had drawn the mountain instead of the Ash Barrens. I really don't think it's needed at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not needed in any way, shape, or form. But my only point was it's not hindering you like I think Eclipsed Realms is, or some of the other lands that come in tap that don't really add to your strategy. So, so Eclipsed Realms, though, I would definitely remove that, because essentially that is literally just a forest.
Yeah.
Because it comes in, you choose goblins, and then it can tap for a red if you're casting a goblin or activating a goblin ability. You know what else can do that? A mountain.
Yeah.
Like that one's very repetitive, and I get it says goblins on it, so that's probably why you threw it in there. But because you're monocolored, it's not a benefit to you. If you had multiple color goblin deck, red and any other color, basically, it would be worthwhile because then it could tap for 2 colors. But with it only tapping for red, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. The other thing is, too, that I'd mentioned is it shows that your quantity of lands is 36. Goblins are super duper cheap. Very low curve.
And monocolored, you don't have to worry about color fixing.
Right. You don't really have to worry about color fixing, anything like that. The only thing I would say is you could probably sacrifice a couple lands here depending on what you want to do overall. If Jeff was here, and thank God he's not, he would say you don't have enough lands, you need at least 2 more.
No, I don't think he would. But he would argue with us not to have him take it. But I'm telling you, 32 you could get away with.
And the other thing is, too, which is a big deal, is you have a lot of ramp, quote-unquote, in your creatures being able to be sacrificed constantly over and over again for mana. A lot of other creatures don't have that advantage. So goblins, there's so many that do that it's kind of like, well, they kind of are fodder for mana when I need it to do something big. So definitely, I think you could probably cut down a couple on the lands. But I would add, if you could, 3 Tree City would probably be 1, and then Path of Ancestry would probably be 2, or vice versa for either of those, just because there's so much good you're going to get out of those, because you have 30-something creatures in this deck.
Yep.
So they're both going to be good for you constantly.
Yep. And as for me, what I would say is, even if you have to take out mountains to put in some of the lands we mentioned, normally, again, I'm a very basic land guy, but the percentage is so small on this deck. It's worth doing to get these cards in there.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So
next thing I wanted to talk about, you talked about Comet Storm, and I know you just ordered it and you're excited for it. I think I have something better.
Yeah. You do like this card you're about to recommend.
I love this
This
card.
is one of your favorites.
Burn at the Stake. 2 red. As an additional cost to cast Burn at the Stake, tap any number of untapped creatures you control. Burn at the Stake deals damage to target creature or player equal to 3 times that number.
Yeah, so in your deck specifically, you get Krenko out, you tap them down, you create 15 goblins. You can then tap down 15 goblins to make this happen. And it's
45 damage.
45 damage to a target player or creature. Yeah. Probably going to be a player.
Probably going to be a player. You just dome somebody out of the game.
Right. So with that being said, I understand the desire for Comet Storm, because me and Duncan were talking about this before the show, and I said, well, because he has so many ways to produce mana by sacrificing creatures, he could then dump all that mana into Comet Storm to then just destroy two people.
But in that case, I know you had this in a different section. Why don't you talk about the card that you have to utilize that ability?
So Crackle with Power is one that is very similar to Comet Storm, but it's a little bit better because of the way it's read. So it's XXX red red. So it's a little bit more mana to make it go off. However, the kickback is Crackle with Power deals 5 times X to each of up to X targets. Excuse me. Now it's a sorcery, so you can only do it main phase 1, main phase 2. So you gotta be patient. But it's gonna hit everybody at the table for quote unquote cheaper than what Comet Storm would. Because Comet Storm, you do have to pay the kicker cost and then also dump a bunch of mana in. So if you dump 5 into each X, which is 15 mana, and then 2, which if you have a bajillion goblins, it's going to be pretty easy to do. 15 times 5 up to 5 targets is what you get to do. So it's going to be a lot of damage really quickly. And off the top of my head, 15 times 5 is what, 75, if I'm doing my math right? Yeah. So doing 75 damage for 17 damage as opposed to Comet Storm is, I think, X red, and you have to pay a kicker of 1.
I think it's just
X red,
and then you pay a kicker of 1.
So if you do 15 into X, and then the 2 extra into the kicker plus the 1, you're at 18 mana, and you're only dealing 15 damage to each player. So close to basically the same amount of mana.
It is X red. You're right.
X red, yeah. So almost the exact same mana cost, and you're getting 60 more damage out of it. Is a very big deal. Now,
so I wrote these down a certain way, but let's talk them a little bit differently, because to go with these two ideas, right?
You're right.
There's also Battle Hymn.
Yeah, this is a good one too.
Battle Hymn says add a red, and it's an instant. Add a red to your mana pool for each creature you control. So before you even cast Battle Hymn, you have 15 mana in that 15 goblin situation.
Yeah, and what's the CMC of Battle Hymn? It's got to be 3 or 4 mana.
Oh no, it's 1 to red.
Yep, there you go. Like it's crazy how if you're doing a creature centric deck, how quickly your mana can get out of control with red specifically because and goblins.
Well, let's make it even worse. Okay, Skirk Prospector, because he already has Ashnod's Altar.
Yes.
Yeah, but Skirk Prospector is a goblin who says sacrifice a goblin to make a red mana.
There you go.
So you tap them all for a red, you sack them all for a red.
Yeah, I mean you can literally end the game in 1 turn
easily.
Easy.
You could actually probably do this with only like 5 goblins.
Yeah, because of if you're able to.
If you order all these cards.
Yeah, if you order it correctly, you can get so much mana so quickly. It gets out of control. It's just there's like no stopping how much mana you can get quickly. Now again, we also are talking about if you get everything kind of set up in the best way possible. But for the most part, the big advantage of goblins is they are pretty quick. There's very low setup costs for goblins. You just keep casting goblins, and you force people to have answers, right? So, those are all ones that go so well together.
So just an idea of something besides Comet Storm, whether on top of, I think the ones we recommended are just better.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the couple that we just mentioned are going to be better overall. Now, the advantage of Comet Storm is it is instant speed, and you could blow up the creature that's trying to take you out because you can dump all your mana and just blow up that creature and be like, all right, I killed it. You're not killing me.
Right. So maybe keep it in and do these. Maybe use that for smaller target.
Right. And the other thing is too is with the other cards that you have in here with Comet Storm, you could probably, like we mentioned, you could probably cut a couple lands and you might be able to get all these in there anyways. So because you're not needing to get back those lands because you have so many mana resources elsewhere that you're using. So if you want to cut those 3 colorless lands that you had, the non-basics, and then maybe cut down 2 more and add a couple of the lands that we said, you could still keep even all 3 of these. Because again, having more ways to kill people and win the game by dumping infinite mana into stuff, it's not a bad idea.
I mean, not infinite, but a lot.
But a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, infinite enough to where goblins can't count to that high. Yeah. So,
Here's another one that kind of goes in this theme. Again, I had it in a different section, but since we're talking about damage. So there's a goblin called Gem Palm Incinerator. 2 in a red, creature goblin, 2/1. Has cycling 1 in a red. discard, draw a card. When you cycle Gem Palm Incinerator, you may have it deal X damage to target creature, where X is the number of goblins on the battlefield.
Yeah. And that's cool because it's goblins on the battlefield, not your goblins
Right.
you control.
So maybe if you can only have 3 that you're adding, you put this in place of the Comet Storm, because this is only going to cost you 1 and a red.
Right.
And the cycling ability is at instant speed.
Right. So you can do that in response to someone declaring an attacker, blow up their creature, and you get to draw a card out.
And and just gravy. Just gravy.
Yeah, and remember too, because it is relevant that it says goblins in play. So not just your goblins. If someone else has goblins out there, like for example, the new goblin commander from
Auntie Bly.
Yeah, that is a goblin. If someone else is playing, you're great. I'm going to count your goblin towards blowing up your own creature.
Yeah, maybe even the blowing her up.
Yeah, even the blowing her up. So it's definitely an instant speed response where if you have a lot of goblins out, it's going to benefit you a lot. And the other advantage is it's a goblin. So if you don't have goblins out, just play as a creature. Now you have a goblin out. You know, so it definitely fills 2 roles, which is something that we try to emphasize here a lot. If you can get something that's going to fill multiple roles, that's going to be a big benefit for you in the long run. So
let's talk about another package we were talking about. So this is optional. So you already have impact tremors, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're doing damage when the goblins come in. If you want to expand on that, this is a package you can do to do that.
Yeah.
If you're like, I want to keep this very goblin-centric, then you may not want to go this route because none of these are goblins. But Perforos, God of the Forge, Witty Roastmaster, Raphael, Tough Turtle, and even Rose Room Treasurer. Rose Room Treasurer gives you treasures the first 2 times it triggers in a round, and that does damage after that.
Gotcha.
So you kind of get a little of both worlds there.
Yeah.
But again, none of those are goblins. So if you don't want to stray too far from the goblin team, I know you were talking about trying to make it not too overpowered.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to do those. But you thought of a card then that would maximize if you do want to do those.
Yeah, so all 3 of those are basically creatures enter, you get to do damage to people because of creatures entering. So I initially thought, well, Shronic Resolute would be nice, but that's only one time and you got to pay to do it. And I was like, not quite as strong for you. However, Panharmonicon is very strong. Very, very strong. If an ability would cause a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers an additional time. So basically just read all of those as they deal 2 damage to everybody instead of just 1.
Or some of them it's more than that. Which Perforos by himself is 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's gonna be 4.
4
per goblin.
Per goblin that comes in.
Let's say you made a modest 7 goblins.
Yeah, that's
14 damage to all your opponents.
Yeah, you're hitting hard. And so 4-drop artifact, don't have to name a creature type, don't have to do anything like that. It's the same reason why I initially thought Roaming Throne, but again, it's only for goblins. So the downside is a lot of the goblins you have don't have deal damage abilities on them.
It's only for triggered abilities.
It's only triggered abilities
of
that
whatever
would happen
creature type you choose.
For whatever creature type you choose. So it wouldn't be as helpful, and it's not as helpful for Krenko either. But this one, because this one just cares about permanents causing the triggered abilities of other permanents you control, Panharmonicon is definitely going to give you the best bang for your buck if you want to kind of go that I'm just going to create creatures, and just by me existing and having creatures created, I'm dealing damage to everybody. That's another way you could absolutely go. And like we said, all of those that are in there, very similar to Impact Tremors, essentially do the same exact thing. Creature enters, deals damage.
Yep. The next one, we kind of put this as utility.
Yeah.
So I talked about Battle Hymn. The Lithoform engine is a way that you can copy the activated ability of Krenko.
Yes.
That's a one-use thing. Illusionist Bracers is equipment that every time you do it, it just copies it.
Right.
So that's another good one. You had one you talked about when I talked. So 1,000-Year Elixir will untap him. Patriarch Seal will untap him, but you thought of an even better one.
Yeah, so depending on how mean you want to be, Umbral Mantle is a card that has just been sitting in the recesses of my heart ever since I started playing Magic because of the fact that it's a 0 equip, and then you pay 3 and untap target creature. It's one of the few equipments where you can just infinitely untap the creature it's equipped to. And so the hypothetical I gave was you tap Krenko, you make 5 you make 5 goblins. You sacrifice 2 of them to Astronaut's Altar to get 4 mana to untap Krenko, to then tap them to make now 10 goblins. You then sacrifice 1 to get 3 mana to untap them, to then tap them again to make 30 goblins, and so on and so forth until you're like, yeah, I think 1 billion goblins is fine. And then one of those nifty damage cards we were talking about earlier. I'm going to sacrifice 1 billion goblins to deal 1 billion damage to everybody. Any responses? No? Cool. So it's one that I know you said in your email you didn't want to go too strong. I saw you.
What if it's your finisher?
Right. If in my mind, I always tell everybody when you're building a deck, you should have, in my opinion, 2 to 3 ways to close out a game is not too strong. If you have only one way to close out a game,
you may never see it.
You will probably never see it. But if you have 2 to 3 lines to close out a game where it's like the game's instantly over, I'm not talking about, well, after a couple of turns and setup, the game will be. No. I'm talking about this hits the field, no one has a response, I end the game now. Umbra Mantle with any of those other ones, Crackle with Power, Comet Storm, Burn at the Stake, any of those, it will instantly end the game.
Or haste.
Yeah.
Because you're making infinite goblins. You wait till you have, 1,000 to attack each player with.
Right, and you do have the enchantment in here that does give all your creatures haste.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely something where I think this is something that you can put in there. Again, if you're being moderate on how you're getting there, I think this would be a fine add, and no one would consider it too strong. And it's one of those things, too, a lot of people don't know this equipment exists. So when you do it, they're like, wait a minute, you have an equipment that you pay to untap your creature? It's like, yeah, I do. And because the other cool part about it, the other kicker, is that it actually not only does it get to untap them, but that creature then gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So you can make Krenko for each time you untap them. So you can make Krenko 1 billion bigger and just swing at someone for 1 billion commander damage. So it has a lot of utility in it, and with the way that your deck is set up with the goblins, because you're sacrificing only 2 and you get back over 2 more, you're always going to be able to do this basically infinitely.
And just because I'm just wrong in the head, this wasn't a card I had on here, but if you're going to go that route and make him really big, put Reaver Cleaver on him.
Yeah.
Just get that many treasures.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? It's all for kicks and gigs at the end of the day. But I thought Umbral Mantle was a good one that kind of goes underneath the radar.
I think it's Umbral.
Umbral? Yeah. Umbral, I can't read. Umbral Mantle is definitely one that I think kind of flies underneath the radar, and for what you're doing and how much mana you could easily produce with goblins, I think this is a good ad for you.
And then the last one in the utility section I had was Shared Animosity.
Yeah, so good.
2 and a red enchantment.
Yeah.
Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it.
Yeah.
10 goblins swinging out. They all get +9.
That's a 10-1 goblin coming at you. And then there's 10 of them.
Yep.
It is a really good card. That's another one where if you're going to go a tribal theme and you want to attack to end the game, Shared Animosity almost always has to go in. Anytime I've ever built a tribal theme deck in red, soldiers, humans, anything at all, Shared Animosity is always in there because it's never not going to be good, even if it's only 3 creatures attacking.
Well, I'll tell you one situation.
+2/+0.
In Ur-Dragon, it's not that good because you don't have a ton of dragons. They just hurt a lot. You may have 4 or 5 and they hurt a lot.
Yeah, but still,
or dinosaurs.
I mean, even in those, if you have 4 attacking, it getting +4/+0 is not bad.
No,
it's not going to hurt you.
Bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. If you're doing a tribal theme deck, it's always going to be beneficial if you're attacking.
It's hurting you if they play Deflecting Palm.
Yeah,
or something where they like.
Oh, Batwing. What's it called? The one that I did on Jeff before. It's white and a black. I have it in my.
Oh, Ink Shield?
No, not Ink Shield. There's one that if you pay white, it deflects the damage. If you pay black, it negates the damage. So no damage is dealt, and if you did the other color, you then can send it back to the person dealing the damage to you.
Nice.
Yeah, it's sick. I have it in my Splinter deck.
There's a bunch of cards that'll do that. There's a mono white one.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them. But so then we have a removal package. You really don't have a lot of removal in here. So I put Chaos Warp, Zoyawa's Injustice. They both and Wild Magic Surge. They're very similar, same things.
Yeah, and then for me, I put Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, and Thibault's Trickery, and it's quote-unquote removal/protection.
That's like a counterspell package as
right.
well. Although the blasts can destroy a blue permanent.
Yeah, so the red elemental blast and the pyroblast specifically only counter blue spells or destroy blue permanents. That's it. But if someone's going to stop your Krenko by countering it, it's probably going to be blue.
Yeah.
So that's why I put those in there, because I will let you know now, if you tell a table and there's even at least one veteran player, maybe two there, that have been playing for a while, and you say, I'm playing Krenko, you better be dang ready for them to counter it and destroy it
Which,
on site.
speaking of which, could be a reason to put Cavern of Souls in the deck as well.
Yeah, Cavern of Souls would be a very beneficial utility land in this case, because of the fact that I can name goblins. You can't counter my goblins.
So maybe play it, see how it goes. If people are countering them before you even get to show them what you're doing,
Yeah.
put that in there, and then they can't counter.
Yeah, and that will again help out your entire deck too, because you have 30-something creatures. I think 32 you're at, and I think 30 of them are goblins. So, yeah, very, very good for you in that sense.
So then, Gobos, just general Gobos.
Yeah,
So I already talked about Skirk Prospector.
really good.
There's some that you might want to put in there. Goblin War Chief. I don't have them in order. He says, goblin spells you cast cost one less to cast, and goblins you control have haste. That's a double great card. One in a red and a red. So that's really good. Goblin Chieftain, he has haste. Other goblins you control have +1/+1 in haste. So again, there's two haste enablers with an upside.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing too, I would say, is because there are a couple of the goblins in here are even though they are goblins, they're not themed for the rest of what your deck is doing. So, for example, the two that he just listed, you have in here Gutter Snipe. Gutter Snipe is a great goblin card if
You're playing instants.
you're
and
spell
sorceries.
slinging.
Yeah.
You do not have enough spell slinging in here to be playing Gutter Snipe. I would absolutely, because again, he's the same CMC, 2 in a red. So
Yep.
we're at 3. Same CMC cost. You're not going to ruin your curve. Either one of those would be a bigger benefit to you than what Gutter Snipe is doing in your deck. So, another one, for example, is Goblin Tomb Raider. He's 1 red, 1 and a 2. As long as you control an artifact, Goblin Tomb Raider gets +1/+0 and has haste. That's great for him. But the other one
Gives all your goblins +1/+1
and haste. So it's only 2 more mana, and you get the 2 benefits that this gets if you control an artifact on everything without having to control an artifact.
Yep.
So like things like that, where even though I get it, they're goblins, there's just a couple of goblins that are a little bit better, either same or slightly more CMC, that could definitely give you a big benefit for sure.
Yeah.
And those two that he brought up, the reason why I wanted to say those two, because those two specifically were the two that I thought would be best to replace these 2 gobos with I just mentioned.
Another one is Runvelt Horde Master. 1 in a red, creature, goblin warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. That'd be pretty good by itself. But whenever Runvelt Horde Master or another goblin you control dies, exile the top card of your library. If it's a goblin creature card, you may cast that card until the end of your next turn. So it can almost replace itself. Not for free, but it's like any of your goblins that die, it's like, maybe I can get a new one.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because one of the things that red does struggle with is digging. It has a hard problem with, getting through its deck without having to give up cards constantly. So
here's another way.
Yep.
Muxus Goblin Grandee, 4 and 2 red. 4/4 legendary creature Goblin Noble. When Muxus Goblin Grandee enters the battlefield, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Put all Goblin cards with converted mana cost 5 or less from among them onto the battlefield.
Yep.
And the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever he attacks, it gets +1/+1 to end of turn for each other goblin you control.
There you go. So, I mean, again, he's gonna boost himself by attacking. He's gonna let you dig through the top 6 cards to try to hit another goblin. And the reason why that's nice too is unlike some of your other dig spells that you have in here, you're not having to discard those cards. They just go to the bottom of your library. So if you hit 6 whiffs, you don't have to worry about, I just lost 6 cards. They're just going to the bottom in a random order. Unlike the current draw spells you have now, where they're really just dig spells. You have to discard to draw 2.
But the fact that they just come on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. You're getting up, was it 5 CMC?
5 or less.
5, a total.
For goblins, that's a ton of mana.
Yeah, that's pretty much, you can get, almost be guaranteed to get at least 3 goblins out on that without fail.
Yep. And him and this next one can also be like backup commanders if they just make Krenko unviable.
Yeah.
Krenko 10 Street Kingpin. Whenever Krenko 10 Street Kingpin attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to his power.
Yeah, so
So he's a 1/2. He costs 2 in a red, legendary creature goblin. So, that's more of a slow build, but again, if you run into those people that are just like, I'm making sure you never see Krenko,
right.
okay, different Krenko.
Right, and that's the other thing too to keep in mind is that's another thing that we've kind of always hinted at and touched on is have a quote-unquote hidden or second commander kind of built into your deck where it's like, if you're not going to let my commander hit, that's fine. I still have other ways to kind of do what I want to do with my commander, just in maybe a slightly different way that I'm still going to get all the same benefits of. And so those two that he just mentioned, they are both legendary creatures. So the nice thing is even if you wanted to, you know what, I'm going to switch Krenko out. I'm going to put one of these guys in the command zone instead.
Maybe you run into a table where like, I do not want to see another Krenko deck. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
and
swap
then
it out.
all you got to do, you have two guys right there, perfectly good substitutes that do not require any changing of the deck whatsoever, except for taking Krenko and putting him in a 99 and taking one of them and putting him in the command zone. Because they both care about goblins, they both care about doing that. And the first one that you mentioned, Mugsy, is really good because every single time you get to cast him, you get to do that because it's whenever you ETBs. So like when he dies and goes to command zone, you just recast him. You get to do those six cards again for the 5 cost CMC of goblins. So both really good. But
if you use Skirk Prospector, you can sacrifice him yourself just to be able to do it again.
Yep. Yeah, you can. So one of the things I did want to touch on, and I don't know if you were just playing ignorant, but I'm not seeing a Soul Ring on Arcane Signet. If you did it on purpose, that's fine. But you do not have a Soul Ring or Arcane Signet in this deck. Why? Please put them in there.
I mean, some people do get tired of every deck having it in
that's
there.
That's fair. And if that's why you're doing it, that's fine. I just didn't see a justification anywhere in the email of why you don't have a Soul Ring and Arcane Signet. Please add them if you have them. If you don't want to because you're like, there's not a Goblin one, sure, that's fine. I get it.
Yeah. But just a reminder, too, there may become a Goblin one. The Goblin deck is coming out on Secret Lair at some point.
That's true. So that's the other thing to keep in mind is that they might throw those in there as a Goblin art, so that way you can get your Goblin themed if you want to go that way. But the other thing too is another ramp that could fall in this category is I think a Ruby medallion. All your red spells cost 1 less. Yeah, that's never going to hurt you in a mono red deck. If you got one, I would definitely throw that in here. Those are just extra mana that you didn't have in here that could help kind of cut that land count down. So you can either get more of these kill spells or more of these goblins in there. Because again, that's sounding like that's what you were focusing on is you want as many gobos as you can. And so having those rocks will definitely help get you there for sure.
Yep. Now with all this, you're going to be like, well, what do I cut?
Yeah.
Sloan made a couple... and I may repeat here because I had my own list.
Yeah.
But ones I would cut: Destructive Digger, Rock Jockey, Rummaging Goblin. I will tell you, Rummaging Goblin is a trap.
It's like gamble.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
Almost. It's like you're not gaining. You're staying at the same count.
Yeah.
Spear Spewer, Fire Cannon Blast, Misguided Rage, Shower of Coals. Fire Rim Form, Meek Attack. Those are the ones that, in my opinion, you could cut. By the way, if you are going thematically, this just popped into my head. If you are going thematically and you are just like, I want thematic deck. I don't want those pinging guys that are not goblins. Right. I want to keep it very on theme, very, goblin centric. I cannot spell on this, but I want to recommend Fodder Tosser. Let me pull it up here. Fodder Tosser says tap, discard a card. Fodder Tosser deals 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. That's not the one. What's the one? You'll know it when I talk about the flavor text. So the reason I'm saying the card I'm thinking of, it's like Fodder Tosser, is the bottom of it says load cousin, fire, load another cousin. Do you know what I'm talking about now?
Goblin Bombardier? Is that it? Is that what you're thinking about? I'm trying to think of what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, our thematic guy, obviously Jeff, is out today, so that kind of stinks. But if you are trying to veer away from just straight up optimizing it, like Duncan's saying, without being in the theme of goblins, we completely understand that, and you're more than welcome to disregard all of these things that we recommended. Another package that we didn't put in here, and I did mention to Duncan, and I'll bring it up now while he's searching, is there is a multiple attack package you can do. Red's really good at doing multiple attack phases. Aggravated assault's like the big bad. And with you having as many ways to sacrifice creatures and pay for another attack and tap Krenko to make a bunch more goblins so that they can attack, it's very easy for you to put a couple of those cards in there to have 3 or 4 attack phases if you want that to be your win condition. So I would, with that being said, though, I definitely focus on how do you want to win. That's the question you need to answer. Do you want to win via attack? Do you want to win via pinging? Do you want to win via an infinite combo loop? Like, how do you want to win? And that's where your big costs, your game-ending spells, that's what they should be. Because the downside is if you go 1 or 2 extra attacks, 1 or 2 extra like big damage spells, you may not ever see them and you can never close out a game. As opposed to if you went like 3 or 4 big damage spells and no extra attacks, or 3 or 4 extra attack cards and no big damage spells, you're more likely to probably hit those and draw them, so that way you can close out the game the way you want to. So keep that in mind if you are looking at kind of what you're trying to do for upgrades and everything. Just make sure that whatever you're doing, the question being answered of how am I going to win, that is what you are dumping your resources into getting to.
Yep. So I found it. So it wasn't fodder tosser, it's fodder cannon.
Oh.
Okay. 4 colorless artifact, or 4 of any color artifact. Pay 4 of any color, tap it, sack it, sacrifice a creature. Fodder cannon deals 4 damage to target creature. This isn't a great card, but thematically, it's awesome. Step 1, find your cousin. Step 2, get your cousin in the cannon. Step 3, find another cousin. And it shows goblins doing just that.
Yeah.
So just thematically, like, that's a really good one. But while I was looking for this, I found a couple cards didn't even think about.
Yeah.
Just real quick, Goblin Bombardment, the one you mentioned.
Yeah.
Sacrifice a goblin, a creature. Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to any target. Another way to use your goblins.
Yeah, and it's not a tap.
As a
You just
resource.
keep paying. Just goblin.
Yep. So a way to use them as a resource. And then the other one I found, did I back out of it? So let me go back. No. There was another one that did a very similar thing. I lost it. Gosh darn it. Goblin Bombardment and... Oh, it was the same card, that's why. It was on 2 different screens. But yeah, so that's another way to use your goblins as a resource.
Yeah. If you can't use them for mana, use them for damage.
Yep. I mean, there's just... I mean, and many of these things you can do in reaction, like the Goblin Bombardment. You can do it in reaction to a board wipe. Well, okay, that's great that you're board wiping, but I'm going to board wipe mine first, and they're going to hurt.
Yeah. Definitely the advantage of having a bunch of sacrifice outlets is that you can use your stuff in response to deal with the fact you're about to lose it all. It's like, okay, I'll just kill them all first, like Duncan said. I'll sacrifice 15 of them to Goblin Bombardment to hit you in the face for 15 damage since you're blowing up my board, and I'll also sacrifice Goblin Bombardment to himself to deal 1 damage to you also. Yep. Because it's a goblin, doesn't say other goblin.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, those are just our ideas. Again, you got to figure out how much of this you think is too strong for what you're going for.
Yeah.
By the way, I did use a tool for a couple of these. Most of these were my own ideas. But I did use a tool just to check it.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before, deckcheck.co, CO. That site has some really cool stuff. Now, it has a limited use of some of the tools per day, unless you start paying for stuff. But you get basically 5 tool uses per day on most of it.
Nice.
But so I did one where it said you can tune it to a certain deck level for the tiers, for the brackets. And so I said 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So really, everything in here should fit in the 3. Because the stuff I did, definitely none of it's game changers. Stuff you did.
Red only has 4.
Well, even Roaming Throne's not a game changer, so.
It's not.
No.
Because it doesn't change the game at all.
No. Well, not in Krenko. Not as much. But yeah, so, I don't think any of this is too powerful, but it's your play group.
Yeah.
You know what's expected. But you pick which things you want to add, which things you don't, how powerful you want to make it, gear it to that, and just run with it. Goblins as a resource. That's how you got to look at your deck.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to attack. Maybe you're going to sack them. Maybe you're going to tap them. Maybe you're going to just keep making goblins and sitting back and saying, I'm not hurting anybody.
Yeah. And just slowly by slowly, you go from 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 to 160. And then you're like, oh, by the way, I'm just going to kill everybody. So, last thing I would do is, just because I think it's fun, try to find some cool goblin tokens, even if you custom make them yourself. I think that'd be fun. More importantly, if your buddies in your friend group are good sports, Duncan has done this before, but you can take pictures of people, put it into an AI generator, and say, turn this person into a goblin, and then make them goblin tokens, so then you're killing them with their own little versions of themselves. Yeah. Do something fun with it. You're going to make a bajillion goblin tokens. Just make a thick old stack of just crazy different arts and stuff, because, you're going to make a lot. So have some fun with those tokens, though, for sure. If you do that, send us a picture of some of the arts that you come up with, because I think that'd be fun to see for sure for your deck.
Yeah. But that's our ideas, and that's all the time we have for this week.
Yeah.
Sloan, where can they find us?
Yeah, you can find us all over the inner sphere, youtube.com/@commanderspod. Email us at castlesforcommanderspod, like our friend here did, and get your own deck in the mix, and we'll do a deck tech for you as well. Give you suggestions, recommendations, so you can either listen to them or completely ignore them. Up to you.
Yep.
But we do enjoy doing it, so it's no burden to us whatsoever. You can also go to commanderspod.com. It's our website where everything's posted. If you do want to support us like our friend did, patreon.com/commanderspod. You're more than welcome to go there and help support us so we can keep making great videos and keep putting out all this great content for you. We are doing a box opening of Collector's Box for Secrets of Strixhaven, so that should hopefully be coming out. It should have came out the previous weekend to where you're watching this, so you should have saw that last week. If you didn't, go to the YouTube page. It will be there for you. We are a video podcast at youtube.com as well as Spotify now, so you can also watch and listen to us on Spotify. And then lastly, listen to us on Audible, iHeartRadio, Apple, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, etc., etc.
And we kind of skipped past it, but you had a quick player tip?
Yeah, the book. Duncan got it, and this is what the cover looks like. I think it's very cool. I kind of read the short epilogue in it and just kind of read the brief description, but it's a beefy one, over 400 pages. So if you're not a reader, maybe not do it. But I will say that it is very high quality, and I'm very excited because Duncan actually, he got 2 of these because he's greedy and he wanted the command tower. Didn't leave the command tower in it for me though, for some reason. But he did get 2 of these, so he gave me this one. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to try to read this for you guys, and then we might, if we finish this book soon enough, we might even talk about it on one of the episodes.
Yep. And I think Jeff's going to try and read it.
Yeah, and we're going to try to get Jeff to also read it, and we can kind of talk about it and see what we think, because one of the big things we've always harped on is the lore of Magic and how
they've kind of gone away from it.
Yeah, and now they wrote a whole book for Strixhaven. Omens of Chaos is what it is. So if you didn't get your own copy yet, hopefully we'll read it and we'll tell you what we think of it, and you might want to get it. I'm not a big reader, but when it comes to nerd stuff, I'm okay with reading. So I'm excited about it. I want to see kind of what the story is and how it turns out. But yeah, Secrets, Strixhaven, Omens of Chaos came out, so you can go ahead and get that.
And if you get a first edition, which all the ones right now are first editions, you do get that exclusive command tower. I will tell you, I have seen it up to $30-ish, $29 and change. But if you shop around, you can find it closer to the $20 mark.
There you go.
Amazon was sold out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Amazon usually sells out of all their Magic stuff. So
even the books, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
But anyway, that's all the time we have. So as always, play bold, swing wide. Don't forget to pay the one.
We'll leave